Another blast of winter hammers Atlantic Canada on this Monday night. The hazardous conditions and deadly accidents as a storm sweeps in.
Missed some cars and I ended up in the ditch.
With more wild weather on the way. Political unity on affordability, why all MPs have agreed to fast-track some legislation. Plus, more fallout from the Epstein files, how the scandal is rocking the British government and renewing problems for a former prince. And Bad Bunny makes Grammy history as the Puerto Rican artist takes aim at the Trump administration.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin in Atlantic Canada, where the lives of tens of thousands of people have been disrupted by a fierce storm. A strong nor'easter is barreling across the region, the third big storm in as many weeks. In parts of Newfoundland and Labrador, as well as Nova Scotia, the closures and flight delays are piling up. Heidi Petracek has our top story on the winter weather hammering the region.
Mountains of snow grow in Newfoundland and Labrador's capital after the latest winter wallop.
I was up at like 6 in the morning and I shoveled out, and now I'm just trying to keep on top of it.
This is what St. John's looked like last Tuesday. Now, less than a week later, the picture's almost the same. This blizzard prompted police to warn of hazardous driving conditions. St. John's saw about 30 centimeters of snow by midday. Municipal offices, urgent care clinics, and some community health centers closed, as did schools throughout eastern and central areas.
This year seems especially rough. When it gets wet like this, it's just really hard to shovel it out.
All flights in and out of the St. John's International Airport a no-go.
Like, not even a chance.
Bella Clark's return trip from Toronto delayed until Wednesday.
I'm really hoping that I can get in and make sure I can make my classes.
The storm adding to the season's snow totals.
In St. John's, 205 centimeters, including this storm. Last year, at this same point, we only had 76 centimeters of snow.
In Nova Scotia, the snow dump also closed many schools. And the annual public appearance of the province's furry weather prognosticator, Shubenacadie Sam, was also called off. Slick conditions leading to accidents. The driver of this Jeep, okay.
I was just driving along, hit the black ice, swerved a few times, missed some cars, and I ended up in the ditch.
About an hour from Halifax in the town of Truro, the storm has brought tragedy. A woman walking through a parking lot died after being struck by a snowplow.
Conditions weren't great for visibility. There were parked vehicles that were parked in the parking lot, and the private contractor was attempting to plow the lot.
Atlantic Canadians who just dug out again are now watching the forecast closely.
There's a possible storm coming on Thursday and again at the end of the weekend.
Winter far from done with the East Coast. Heidi Petracek, Global News, Halifax.
A rare moment of consensus on Parliament Hill today means legislation designed to offer financial relief to lower-income Canadians will become law quickly. MPs have unanimously approved a Conservative motion to fast-track the Liberal plan to boost the GST credit. Jillian Piper explains what's got all MPs on the same page.
All those opposed to the motion will please say nay.
Carried.
It's a rare moment in a polarized parliament. Unanimous agreement on a Conservative motion to fast-track a Liberal bill.
This is going to make a difference in the lives of Canadians, and it's part of a suite of measures to make life more affordable.
Canadians need a boost.
First announced last week by the Prime Minister, the bill would give a one-time 50% GST credit boost to about 12 million low-income Canadians, amounting to as much as $790 for a family of 4 this year, followed by a 25% top-up for the next 5 years.
A budget that everyone can support.
The price tag was not accounted for in the November budget, which is still yet to be passed. But the Parliamentary Budget Office says the initiative will cost $12.4 billion over the next 5 years, slightly higher than what the Liberals estimated.
A very important measure for Canadians.
The Finance Minister would not say if it will add to the projected $78 billion deficit for this fiscal year.
When you're in government, you have to make choices. The choice we made is to support Canadians where they are.
That answer, not good enough for the Conservative deputy leader.
The ink is not even dry on that federal budget, and this is another $12 billion of unaccounted spending.
Despite unity on moving the bill forward, the Conservatives still hammering the Liberals over the high cost of living.
The only results of Liberal policy is Canada has the highest food inflation in the G7, twice that of the United States.
Pierre Poilievre's most recent speech at the Conservative Convention in Calgary showed no signs of his party shifting away from its focus on affordability, Donna, an issue that has consistently been top of mind for Canadians in public opinion polls.
All right, Jillian Piper in Ottawa, thank you. A longtime Liberal MP and Cabinet Minister is leaving the House of Commons and moving to London. Bill Blair has been appointed to be the next High Commissioner to the UK, replacing Ralph Goodale. Blair's departure will trigger another by-election. Mackenzie Gray explains what that means for the Liberal minority government.
It's been rumored for months here on the Hill, Donna, but it's now official. Public Safety Minister Bill Blair is finally set to leave Ottawa for London to become the new High Commissioner to the UK. Now, Blair is the second major Trudeau minister to leave since the election after Chrystia Freeland quit earlier this year, and both of those departures will have an impact on the parliamentary math. With an additional vacancy, the Liberals will now either need 2 opposition MPs to vote with them or have 4 not show up to be able to get anything through the House of Commons. And that number is likely to go up, with BC MP and former Natural Resources Minister Jonathan Wilkinson widely expected to also become an ambassador in Europe. Now, while any by-election brings some risk, Blair's seat in the Greater Toronto area is a safe one, which the Liberals have only lost once since 1984. Combine that with the Liberals' high polling numbers, and Mark Carney will likely be able to attract a strong candidate, like they did to replace Chrystia Freeland, luring physician and University of Toronto professor Danielle Martin to run in downtown Toronto. Now, one thing we don't know is when these by-elections will take place. Carney could move quickly and call them in less than 2 weeks, or drag things out and wait up to 6 months. And the longer the Prime Minister waits, Donna, the more questions will be about a potential spring election.
Okay, Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa, thank you. There is terribly sad news from a junior hockey team in Alberta. 3 players with the Southern Alberta Mustangs were killed today in a motor vehicle crash. It happened just over an hour south of Calgary, near the town of Staveley, Alberta. The team says they were traveling to a practice. This memorial to the 3 young men has been set up inside Staveley Arena. The team's owners released a statement saying these young men were more than hockey players. They were teammates, sons, brothers, friends, and deeply loved members of our Mustangs family and the communities we call home. In the UK, the fallout from the vast trove of emails released in the Epstein files has implicated a prominent Labour politician, and there are now calls for the police to investigate. Peter Mandelson, a member of the House of Lords and former ambassador to the US, not only was sent money by convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, there is evidence he leaked sensitive internal government information to Epstein, information that was market sensitive. Vincent McAviney on what's been revealed and how serious it is.
They may be partially redacted, but these files are still revealing new secrets about the global reach of the deceased convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. In the UK, an investigation has been launched into former senior minister Peter Mandelson, who allegedly passed confidential government information to Epstein. This included market-sensitive information about a €500 billion Eurozone bailout, and plans to tax bankers' bonuses after the 2008 financial crisis. Emails appear to show Epstein then relayed this to bankers, who used the information to push back against the British government, with JP Morgan head Jamie Dimon said to have mildly threatened the UK Treasury on Mandelson's urging. Documents allege Lord Mandelson, who was removed as US ambassador last year over his links to Epstein, received payments from him while serving in government. Mandelson quit the governing Labour Party Sunday night. Then on Monday, London's Metropolitan Police announced an investigation into whether he could be charged with the crime of misconduct in public office. For the royal family, there's more embarrassment, with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly the Duke of York, in new photos crouching on all fours over an unidentified woman in what's believed to be Epstein's New York home. He's also facing new allegations from a woman who says she was sent by Epstein to have sex with the former prince at his home, the Royal Lodge, in 2010. It's the first time such claims have been made about encounters taking place at a royal residence. His former wife, Sarah Ferguson, also features prominently in the disclosure, describing Epstein, who helped her financially for more than a decade, as the brother I have always wished for, and seemingly offering access to events at royal palaces. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has joined calls for Andrew to give evidence to US authorities about what he knew. The former couple have consistently denied any wrongdoing.
It's very difficult to compel him to go there. There's no mechanism for that. It's about public shaming. And as we have seen, public shaming seems to have limited impact on Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
Epstein may have died in 2019, but this new trove of files is revealing yet more about his extensive dealings with the global elite. Vincent McAviney, Global News, London.
Norway's royal family is embroiled in this too. It's emerged the crown princess had extensive contact with Epstein. The files include scores of friendly emails between Crown Prince Mette-Marit and Epstein between 2011 and 2014, when he was already a registered sex offender. The princess now says it's embarrassing that she showed poor judgment and she regrets having any contact with him. At the same time, her 29-year-old son, Marius, is about to stand trial on 38 charges, including rape and domestic violence. And last night, he was arrested on new charges of assault, wielding a knife, and violating a restraining order. The American president has announced the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which Donald Trump has added his name to, will close for 2 years to undergo extensive renovations. It will close on the 4th of July. President Trump says more than $250 million has been allocated for repairs and upgrades. It's been the center of a political firestorm since Trump replaced its governing board, which then named him as chairperson and renamed it the Trump Kennedy Center. A number of performers have since canceled performances at the center. In Arizona, police are asking for help finding the mother of Savannah Guthrie, co-host of NBC's Today Show. 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was last seen at her home near Tucson Saturday night. She was reported missing the next day. Authorities describe her home as a crime scene.
Miss Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie, is of great sound mind. This is not a dementia-related. She is as sharp as a tack. The family wants everybody to know this isn't somebody who just wandered off.
The county sheriff says finding Guthrie is urgent because she has limited physical mobility and requires daily medication. She's made regular appearances on the Today Show over the years with her daughter Savannah, who was not on the air today. She released a statement thanking the public for their support. A key border crossing into Gaza reopens. Coming up, what's getting through in the latest phase of the ceasefire, plus an injury on Team Canada. Who's pulling out of an Olympic event? Israel has allowed the only border crossing between Gaza and Egypt to partially reopen for the first time in 20 months. It's not a complete opening. Only some of the thousands of critically ill Palestinians are being allowed out for medical treatment. As Jackson Prosco reports, there's hope this small first step signals a move towards a more lasting peace.
In Gaza, a rare glimmer of hope as ambulances carrying the sick and wounded transported patients out of the besieged territory and into Egypt. Across the border, a line of ambulances and aid trucks prepared to move in, using the Rafah border crossing, which has been largely closed for the last 20 months. It feels like a dream, says this Palestinian man who was waiting for his father to be transported for care. At this dialysis clinic, patients like Mustafa are waiting anxiously. The Rafah crossing is a lifeline, he says. We don't have the resources to be treated in Gaza. Israel seized the crossing in May of 2024 and only opened it for a brief period last year. For now, only a few dozen people will be permitted to travel in each direction daily. Israel still controls the Gaza side of the crossing.
It announces that phase 2 has officially begun. It's starting with a whimper, a limp rather than a sprint, but I think that's the best that we could have expected.
It's a small step forward in a fragile ceasefire. Israeli airstrikes are ongoing and killed at least 26 Palestinians over the weekend, according to the Gaza Health Ministry.
The problem is that we are in a gray zone right now. It's between war and peace.
Still, the reopening of Rafah is a welcome sign that aid and supplies might soon flow more freely, opening a window of hope for the people of Gaza. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
Greenland's prime minister is warning that while the immediate crisis is over, he believes the Trump administration still wants control of the Arctic island. In a speech to the Greenlandic parliament, Jan's Fredrik Nielsen says even though U.S. President Donald Trump has backed off his threats of using military force to take the island, the American administration's view of Greenland has not changed. The island's government has launched a survey to take stock of the population's mental health and how everyone is coping with the uncertainty. Concerns over increasing rates of psychosis ahead, what may be putting Canadians at risk. Some disappointing news from Canada's Olympic team. Pairs figure skaters Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps will not be competing in the team event in Italy. Stellato-Dudek was injured during a practice session in Quebec. Figure skating has a team event as well as individual events in each discipline. Team Canada says Stellato-Dudek is being assessed on a day-by-day basis and hopes to still compete in the pairs event. The pair won silver at Nationals in January. At 42 years old, Stellato-Dudek is Canada's oldest athlete at the Winter Games. She took a 16-year break from the sport before returning to competition in 2016. New Canadian research shows people are getting diagnosed with psychotic disorders more often and at a younger age. Catherine Ward looks at the data and what doctors suspect are some of the reasons behind the disturbing findings.
The study examined more than 12 million people born in Ontario between 1960 and 2009. More than 152,000 individuals in this group were diagnosed with a psychotic disorder like schizophrenia.
Doctors say they were surprised by some of the emerging trends. For example, in people aged 14 to 20 years, rates of new cases increased by 60% between 1997 and 2023. The rising numbers occurred in the most recent birth cohorts, with rates of new cases beginning to increase for those born in the 1980s and later, according to the study. Men and women both saw higher rates, although men remained at a higher risk over the course of the research. Risk factors noted in the study include how old a person's parents were when they got pregnant, socioeconomic stress, and also negative childhood experiences. While there have also been more programs implemented to catch and diagnose people earlier, Dr. Daniel Myron says that doesn't account for the whole picture. Myron speculates that substance use earlier in life could be another factor.
There's long been an association between substance use early in life and increased risk of psychotic disorders and worsening of symptoms. And, if we look at the past 2 decades, you see that there's been large increases in a variety of different substances, including regular high-strength cannabis use. You have the opioid crisis, you have amphetamines and synthetic stimulants that are being used, and more recently some hallucinogens.
Myron also says that while this data is from Ontario, he strongly suspects these trends to hold true right across the country, and that more research is needed to fully understand the scope of the issue. Catherine Ward, Global News, Toronto.
Bad Bunny's big night next. Why his awards honor more than just his music. Canadian Joni Mitchell made a rare appearance at the Grammys last night. She won Best Historical Album for a Joni Mitchell Archives box set featuring unreleased material. The 82-year-old didn't talk politics, but she did wear an Ice Out button, as did many other artists, to protest U.S. immigration and customs enforcement. American Billie Eilish and her brother used their win for Song of the Year to call out ICE. And British singer Olivia Dean, who won Best New Artist, said she is the proud granddaughter of an immigrant. Puerto Rican singer, songwriter, and rapper Bad Bunny won the big prize at the Grammys, Album of the Year, the first time a Spanish-language album has won. He is a U.S. citizen, but says he skipped adding American dates to his latest world tour because he's concerned about raids by immigration and enforcement agents. He is set to perform, though, during the Super Bowl halftime show. And that, as Heather Yurix West reports, will give the superstar access to a vast live television audience.
Puerto Rican artist Bad Bunny has made Grammy history, becoming the first person to win Album of the Year for an album entirely in Spanish.
Bad Bunny seems to be at the pinnacle of any musician's career when they're playing the Super Bowl, they're winning a Grammy, Album of the Year, and at the same time, they find themselves being kind of the arch nemesis at the moment of the MAGA movement.
That's because the 31-year-old has been an outspoken critic of the U.S. president and his immigration policies, seizing the opportunity to make a political statement on the Grammy stage, telling the crowd, "Ice out. We're not savages. We're not animals. We're not aliens. We are humans, and we are Americans." When Bad Bunny was announced as this year's Super Bowl halftime show headliner, there was immediate backlash from both the U.S. president and his supporters.
Having him being appointed as the musical act for the halftime show was interpreted by elements of the American right as being un-American.
Though as a resident of Puerto Rico, a U.S. territory, Bad Bunny is in fact a U.S. citizen.
He's definitely somebody that is not afraid to be defiant inside of this very tense political environment that we find ourselves in.
One of the world's most streamed artists mixing politics with rising global fame. Heather Yurex, West Global News, Calgary.
And that is Global National for this Monday. I'm Donna Friesen. No Grammys for Groundhogs today, but we are watching them closely on this February 2nd.
1, 2, 3. It's an early spring.
Ontario's famous rodent, Wiarton Willie, did not see his shadow today, which means spring will come early. Quebec's Fred Lamarmotte agrees. Over on the prairies, where no real groundhogs take part, Manitoba Merv and Alberta's Balzac Billy both did apparently see their shadows, so expect 6 more weeks of winter there. And in Nova Scotia, pinch hitter Lucy the Lobster was able to communicate that she too predicts an early spring. Believe what you will. And thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.